Welcome to the Southeast Regional Envirothon Advisor 101. My name is Lucy Schwendiman, and I am the AmeriCorps Education and Outreach at the Palouse Conservation District. And I'm joined today by my colleagues Mindy and Allison, who will be monitoring the chat and are available to help answer any questions. This session is being recorded and will be posted onto YouTube by next week. So getting started, this is the Southeast Region competition, which is one of 4 regions comprising Washington's Envirothon competition. In the previous years, the qualifications for which teams got sent to state from the regionals is different than what it will be this year. This year, the top 2 scoring teams from each region, as well as the top scoring team from each conservation district, will have the opportunity to go to state. And this will be a great incentive if you are going to be bringing more than one team from your school to still be competitive with each other for that chance to go to state. So that's kind of exciting. Oop, I went backwards. So this here is a map of all of the conservation districts throughout Washington state. We are located in the Palouse here in Pullman, but we are going to be joined by all of these different conservation districts. We are organizing the event, and we are providing and distributing resources. If you are interested, you could also look into your local conservation district to see what kinds of resources they have available. They might not be Envirothon specific, but there could still be some really great connections to be made from that. And we would also be happy here to coordinate with them as well, if that would be something you're interested in. Keep going backwards. Okay, so this year's Southeast competition is going to be held on Thursday, April 17th at Clemgard Park in Colfax, Washington. It is free to register for this competition at all levels. Those costs are covered. You will be responsible for any transportation costs associated with joining us. However, there is a transportation fund application that we'll share the link to in the chat and put in the video description. Available, it's a limited amount, and it's distributed according to need, as well as timing that we receive your application. So we may not be able to help with the full cost, but this can be used to cover the cost of transportation as well as the cost of hiring a substitute. After regionals, you can go to state, which will be held on May 23rd, 2025 at Camp Kirby in Samish Island, Washington. And then there'll be the national competition held from July 20th to July 26th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So you will get to cross a border, even though it's our national competition. So a little bit about the history of Envirothon from the National Envirothon's website is that the mission of Envirothon is to develop knowledgeable, skilled, and dedicated citizens who understand natural resources and are willing and prepared to work towards achieving and maintaining a balance between the quality of life and the quality of the environment. The mission of Envirothon is accomplished by developing in young people an understanding of the principles and practices of natural resource management and ecology through practice dealing with complex resource management decisions. The Envirothon competition was started in 1979 by the Pennsylvania Soil and Water Conservation Districts as the Environmental Olympics in order to encourage high school students to become more interested in national resource conservation and environmental issues and careers. This competition has expanded rapidly year over year from a statewide competition over in the East to an international competition that we know today. Each year, Envirothon involves over 50,000 high school age students from across the United States and Canada. And here we have some pictures from our own Southeast Regional competition in Washington and the state competition here, all of the happy faces. So how does it work? If you are not already familiar, the competition is comprised of 4 tests and 1 8 to 10 minute presentation that responds to an environmental scenario. The 4 tests take place at stations with hands-on materials and cover the topics of soil and land use, forestry, aquatic ecology, and wildlife. The format of the tests are multiple choice and short response that students answer with using the hands-on materials and all of the knowledge that they study and prepare for. The presentation prompt is provided 2 weeks before the competition, and each year it has a different current issue as the theme. This year's theme is Roots and Resiliency, Fostering Forest Stewardship. There is a research packet provided as well to help students study for this. And while it's not required, it's highly encouraged to create a digital slideshow ahead of time to give a competitive edge to your teams, and that you provide to us so it's all ready to go on competition day. When it comes to preparing and actually studying for the competition, there is some groundwork laid for teams to be able to prepare efficiently and effectively, but they are also totally welcome to go beyond these resources if that's something that interests them. Washington Envirothon also conducted a survey of previous participants, asking them how much time they personally spent studying for the competition, which you can see down over here. So there is a really broad range, anywhere from 0 to over 21 hours, pretty evenly distributed. So your teams will be able to almost self-select how involved they want to be in preparing for this competition. But let's take a look at some of the resources that are available to teams. They've been really nicely curated here on the Washington Envirothon website. You can see that there are pages for each of the 4 test topics as well as the current issue topic. Let's take a look here in the forestry, because for the tests, it's all pretty consistent what's available. There's a learning objectives page. This I want to look at closer is a study guide for our topic based off of the learning objectives. And it's broken down into the amount of time that you may want to spend studying. So if you only have 1 hour to study, it recommends looking through these hyperlinked resources. If you have 2 hours to study, you can continue going through this document all the way up to 3 hours. So that is something that may be really useful for your teams. And let's go back here to see also that there are interactive online courses, YouTube video playlists, trained live recordings, and also this other document that color codes the learning objectives by which level of the competition you are participating in. So the blue is our topics that will be relevant for the regional competition. Green adds on to the list and is for state level. And you can see it's broken down with headings. And then yellow here is just for the national level competition. So this could help your teams kind of narrow their focus further to really optimize the time that they choose to spend studying, which is awesome. I just want to point out that the current issue digital resource it looks a little bit different to access. It'll bring you to this page, and you can find the presentation rubric from last year. I assume that it will be pretty similar for 2025. And here on the National Envirothon website, you can see, scrolling down, study resources for roots and resiliency, which is a PDF, really nicely composed. The part A means that it has information that'll be relevant for regional and state competitions. And later in the year, part B will be released, and that is for the national level competition. You can see my webpage, it's taken a little bit to buffer. There's a lot of good stuff in here, I promise. If it doesn't pull up soon though, oh, here we go. Yeah, you can see, pretty straightforward, but broken down so it's easy to digest, right? So these are the digital study guides that we have. Coming back to here, the Conservation District, the Palouse Conservation District, also has some hands-on study kits available to come and check out. we could possibly help coordinate getting these kits out to you if you are a little bit further away, but they are representative of some of the materials that will be present at the competition day and really help, internalize all the knowledge. We have one for each of the four topics for the test, and they're pretty fun. Finally, um, we are also doing something in Whitman County um, that are in classroom natural resource lessons that my colleague Allison Anders is coordinating. So if you're in Whitman County and you would be interested in having a lesson taught in your classroom by a member of PCD, you could contact her to schedule a date for that. We also will be hosting a forestry field day over at, I believe, Kamiak Butte here in Whitman County. And this is something that anyone, anywhere is welcome to come join if you can make your way over. The date is to be determined, but we can absolutely keep you in the loop if that may be something that interests you. So a little bit about what might motivate students to participate in Envirothon. One of the biggest benefits, in my view, and something that makes the competition unique, is that the tests are written by local experts on each topic so that the content of the exams are somewhat tailored to the local ecology while also aligning with those learning objectives. And this way, students also get to meet some of these professionals currently working in environmental sciences. They come from places like the United States Forest Service and Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. And it can be really fascinating for students to learn about these careers and what it looks like to translate this knowledge that they may be really passionate about into a career that could last them throughout their lives. Additionally, the Envirothon content complements FFA competition content and next generation science standards. So some participants see Envirothon as an opportunity to help bolster these skills and prepare for success, both in FFA and their academic. So looking from the perspective of an advisor and how we get from having interest in Envirothon to getting to competition day, there are some things that we'll need from you to help facilitate the event and some suggestions of the flow of how it might go. So while you are recruiting students, you might consider FFA students, agriculture, biology, or environmental club students. And once you start this process of recruiting people, you are welcome to register your school so that the Police Conservation District knows who is seriously interested in the 2025 competition and will help us make decisions about how we can allocate our resources to meet the needs and interests of our participants. Once you've got some people recruited, you can form teams. And teams are composed of 5 students with up to 2 alternates. We do allow teams of less than 5 at the regional level, but my understanding is that you won't be able to advance beyond regional. And at the regional competition, you'll have a slight disadvantage in the oral presentation just because of how the rubric is set up for 5 presenters, right? So let's take a look at the registration form itself, which we are asking to be returned by Friday, March 28th. So it's here, we have a form where you can set up. I'll do a little example. I'm from the Police Conservation District. My name is Lucy. And I want to show you how this form is set up so that if you already know who your team members are going to be and you're ready to register your school, you can do that all at once. Or if you don't know who's going to be on your team, but you're ready to register your school, you can still come back to this same form. So say that I'm not ready to register a team, I'll say no. I can insert all of my own information in my school, then go ahead and attest to the accuracy of everything. All right, and go ahead and submit that, and we'll have what we need. Then when I'm ready to come back and register my team, I'll click yes here. I'll say I've already put all my advisor information, and all I have to do is put in my team member registration information. 5 members as well as alternates if you happen to have them. There you go. Similarly, if you have more than one team to register, you'll just have to submit another form with the other team's information, and we'll get all of that information. So if there are any questions about this, please feel free to reach out, but hopefully that makes some sense. Beyond having your teams registered, what we are asking for is to return a attendee packet for both team members and advisors by April 3rd. This is just a liability waiver and a rules agreement to make sure that everybody's aware of what they're getting into and agree to the conditions. And finally, for competition day, we just remind you to dress appropriately for the weather because it is an entirely outdoors competition. There are some shelters there, but it's still outside, so it could be cold, but hoping for some sunny weather at least. And we will provide some snacks throughout the day to enjoy, but do remember to bring a packed lunch since it's a full day event. And the only other thing is to, the day before the event, submit your slideshow to go along with your team's presentation, which is the day before is April 16th. So for all of this information that we've covered, there are some resources for advisors to help you remember and recall, okay, where's this link? What am I supposed to do and when? The only thing required here for you to access is the attendee sign and return packet, which again, you can see it's just the 2-page document, but we have some optional things here as well. I'll show you here the little cheat sheet. We've got a 1-pager with all your important deadlines and useful links that you would want to access for over the next few months while preparing for the competition. The registration form is linked here, and the study resources are linked through this page too. So we can get to there. And otherwise, there's some flyers available to help spread the word about Envirothon throughout your school. They could be posted or handed out to students. I'm trying not to click through too fast so that we can all see. There's a general information flyer that would be good information for students or their families to answer questions like what is Envirothon and what are the benefits of participating. And lastly, there's just a quick printable that includes what information your team members will need to provide. So you can be able to fill out that form. So their name, pronouns, grade, t-shirt size, any dietary restrictions, just things like that. But again, all of these here in blue are optional, and the attendee sign and return packet is the only thing that we'll need to see. So that wraps up all of the information I have to share today. Registration is live, so if you are ready to move forward, you can go ahead and do that. And otherwise, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or go ahead and unmute your microphone. And if you're watching this recorded, you can shoot me an email. You can see the contact information is shared there in the chat. And yeah, are there any questions that I could answer today? All right, I think we might be good. I really appreciate everyone joining us. And yeah, I'm really excited for this year's competition.